All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Let me pin that one. All right. How we doing today, everybody? Welcome to the Legally Fit Didn't Pass Now What event. It's officially 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll just give a couple of minutes for some people to still trickle on in. And in doing so, I'll just give you guys a little brief introduction about myself, Legally Fit, and why we're here today. So my name is DeAndre Aubrey. I am the founder of Legally Fit. Legally Fit is a bar prep company and law school coaching company that helps students do well in law school, make sure they stay in law school, thrive in law school, whether that's getting all A's and rising to the top of your class, or that's simply just making sure you stay off of academic probation and anywhere in between. When it comes to the bar prep side, we've been in this space now for 10 plus years. We started off very humble beginnings way back as just a supplement to help students. But by demand, we got students asking for more and more from us. And so we eventually turned into a full-fledged bar prep company. Where we stand in the market is that we offer what I like to call a hybrid approach to bar prep. We are, in my opinion, a step above your traditional big box bar prep company, where it can be very cookie cutter, very impersonal, and also sometimes outdated and antiquated with their strategies and their approach to an ever evolving test. And then on the other end, you have private coaching, which sometimes can be good, but sometimes of the risk in that space is that they're not holistic. So you have a private coaching that's a specialist in one arena, but it's not comprehensive enough to make sure you are efficient and have improved enough in all of the categories of the bar exam. And so what we do with Legally Fit in this hybrid approach is that we offer the comprehensiveness of a big box company, but we also offer the personal touch and the ability to get live questions and live answers and things like that from private coaching. The way that we achieve this, and I'll tell you more about that later, is through live workshops, right? In our group setting. But all that to say, we do coverage for California, which was our first state that we offered bar prep services for. And we have expanded and have had success also with the UBE exam as well. So the only students that we don't help with the bar exam are those that have their own unique tests, like Florida. I believe Nevada has their own. But yes, we basically service majority of the states. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the content of today's or the itinerary for today's session. So this event is called Didn't Pass, Now What? And so if you're here, chances are you're in a position where you have not passed the exam. Whether you found out today for all the California takers, or you found out, weeks ago for a UBE jurisdiction or a different jurisdiction. This event is designed to give you some support, right, which is a big part of Legally Fit as well, as far as just what are the next steps to take. So if you take nothing away from this session and you don't sign up for Legally Fit, anything like that, this is still designed to give you a lot of value as to the things that you should be doing and considering to make sure you are successful on your next attempt. The way we're going to operate this session is I'm going to go through it. Okay. It's going to be a presentation, some slides I'm going to walk through. They're going to guide our discussion. And after we finish that, we'll open it up to some Q&A. So you guys can ask any specific question that you may have, ideally ones that are good for the group. I'll give you guys some information on how you can book private calls if there are more personal matters to discuss. But yeah, we're going to open it up to Q&A, just kind of see what's going on and, where we're at. Throughout the session, to avoid forgetting any of your questions, feel free to use the Q&A feature in the webinar here. So at the bottom of your screen, you see a Q&A button. So if any questions pop up, you can just put them in there. But again, I won't answer them to the end. And then at the end, we'll also give people the ability to hop on and, turn their camera on or turn their mic on and also verbalize their questions as well. But yeah, other than that, that's the introduction. That's me. Let's go ahead and get started with this presentation. All right, I didn't pass the bar exam. Now what? Start off with this image here, right? We have this nice living room. It's pretty small. It's probably New York or LA, right? Looks like a little 500 square foot apartment or something like that. And what do we see? Just taking up majority of that. There's an elephant in the room. Okay. And the reality is this sucks, right? Nobody wants to be in this position. Before we're going to talk about anything related to what to do next, I do want to just keep a little bit of space in this presentation, all right, for the ability to just vent out, right, the frustration, the emotion, the sadness, the anger, whatever it may be that we're having. The reality is, like, this exam sucks in a lot of ways, right? No matter which jurisdiction you're taking. Out of curiosity, right? Put into the chat, what are your particular gripes with this exam? What really boils your blood about this exam, or the nature of it? Is it the format of the test? Is it, the how many days the test is, the hours of testing? Right? Definitely curious. You got, again, put it in the chat. What is it that boils your blood regarding this? And as you guys put yours in, I'll share what my reasons are, because I got my own opinion on the matter. Okay. The idea of memorizing 13 subjects, like, that's ridiculous. When you get into the practice of law, you are practicing law in maybe 1, 2 areas, maybe, right? But 13 is excessive. The randomization of which subjects are essay tested. So you have all 13 subjects, right? But depending on your jurisdiction, only 5 or 6 of those are going to come up on the essay, but we don't know which one. So it's this guessing game, and be prepared for all. The randomization of which topics are multiple choice tested, right? And that was the difference between the subjects and the topics, sorry, for essay testing, right? So it's like, are they going to test contracts? Oh, they happen to test contracts. But how about within contracts? There's a list of 80 to 100 different subtopics within contracts that are also randomized as to what's the 5 or 10 that's going to show up on this essay. And man, they happen to test a 5 or 10 that I hate. If they would have tested this 5 or 10, I would have crushed it, you know? The randomization of the PT chosen, right? Was it a persuasive when I'm better at objective? Was it a curveball and it was a closing argument, right? And something out of the ordinary, right? There's the randomization there. The infinite universe of nuance that can be tested on the MBE, right? All the minutia there. And then lastly, the subjectiveness that we just can't get away from in grading the written portion. We talk about this all the time on, students that get so close to passing, they get in reread territory, and you have 2 different essay graders grading the same essay, and they give significantly different scores. How do we get away from that? We can't, right? They haven't. It's just the subjective nature of how this is graded. So again, right, I'm with you all in this. I personally am at this point an expert in training for the bar, right? But I do not like the bar exam. It is not something that I think is the best indicator for what makes a great practicing attorney. However, right, this is the exam that we have, and this is the exam that we must pass. So we have to buckle up and figure out a way to get it done. The solution is that we have to be so good that these variables don't impact our chances of passing. We must propel ourselves outside the risk zone, okay? Outside of the risk zone. The risk zone being, right, you studied just enough to maybe pass, maybe not, right? I'm pretty good with most of the topics, but not all, right? We have to up that to the next level, that no matter what assortment of essay subjects, no matter what assortment of topics, PTs, multiple choice, etc., you've reached a certain level of sufficiency of skill, right? That you're ready for the exam no matter what. So that's the goal for all of us, to ensure that we pass. Here are 3 qualities of a student outside of the risk zone. You have no gaps in your understanding of heavily tested topics. You have no significant weaknesses with any portion of the exam, right? You cannot be, oh, I'm really good with essays, but oh my gosh, I'm so bad with PTs or MBEs. We have to have at least a solid floor in each of those arenas. Next, you identify your strengths and leverage them to give yourself cushion. This is an discussed topic or strategy within bar prep, which is leaning into your strengths. And again, you can't have any portion of the exam be too low, right? But let's say you get your MBEs just up to all right, this is just good enough, right? Barely hitting that mark. Well, you could put in more time to try to inch that MBE up even a little bit more. But if MBEs are already a struggle for you, the question becomes, well, can I invest that time more so in my essays that are already here? And does the time put into those essays with my already natural skill set there jump my points up more by focusing on my skill? So that's something to consider, right? Leveraging your strengths. All right, back to the no gaps in your understanding, right? Some of us in here may relate to, making some executive decisions that weren't the best idea, right? Of, oh, I don't think they're going to test property this go round, so I'm not going to review that so much, right? Or I don't think they're going to test this particular topic, so let me just take my foot off the gas there, and then guess what? It shows up. So yeah, we can't play the roll of the dice game. We have to be prepared for everything. All right. So how do you get there, right? Again, if you're in the position where you have not passed, whether you just found out you didn't pass, again, the February 26 exam, 25 exam, or you took an exam or two off, and this is your first time getting back in the seat, in the saddle after some years off. Regardless, these are the three steps that I think any retaker needs to take. You have to process your emotions and welcome the challenge of your next preparation period. You have to reflect on your areas of improvement, and then you simply begin your journey to passing the test, okay? Let's talk about the first step, process, okay? First off, I want you to know that you are not alone, okay? But with processing, everyone must go through their own way of processing their emotions. For some, that may be partying, right? Some crying, laughing, reflecting, destroy, right? Go to a destroy room and just start breaking some things to get that frustration out. Others just put it deep down and bury it in a box, right? Like a lot of other feelings and emotions, like, I'm just going to deal with that later. So obviously ignore is probably not processing, but again, for the select few, maybe that works. The reason why I share this is that I've been doing this long enough to know that if you do not process your emotions will disrupt your studying, right? You'll be in the middle of bar prep and you'll find it hard on those days where you don't want to study to push past those emotions because they're just giving you reasons not to continue, right? They're giving you distractions and things to think about. They're providing you're reliving the anger, the emotions, etc. So it might not be something that you can completely eliminate of not having any emotions, right? But to the extent that you can process as many of them, so that way you're truly at a place of an acceptance and readiness to just, hey, give in to your next study period. And the last thing here again is like to help with that, it's like own your story, right? If this last bar prep wasn't yours, right? You weren't successful or whatever the last one was, like it's okay, right? The below here, you see a list of reputable names, right? With Kim Kardashian being the most recent, okay, of people who had to take the bar exam more than once. These are all retakers. And look at what they went on in life to accomplish, right? And there's a laundry list of other people, right? The unsung heroes of everyday life that have taken the exam more than once. So obviously nobody wants to, but the reality is that most do. Okay. And with that said, let the ego down, let your story be one of resilience and perseverance, right? That you didn't let something get you down, you retooled and then conquered that challenge. All right. After you process, it's time to reflect on your areas of improvement. First thing to do is you got to look in the mirror and be honest, right? Sometimes that's a big challenge for us, right? Is to actually hold ourselves accountable, right? Not blame, that significant other, not blame whatever distraction was out there, not blame life, circumstances, the president, politics, whatever, right? All the external things that sure could have had an impact, but you got to start off by looking in the mirror and being honest on, did I do what I was supposed to do to pass? Right? And I've given you already a list of the most important questions to ask yourself. First and foremost, did I put in the study hours? Right? You see there, 600 to 650 is what I recommend. I will tell you industry standard is a little less than that, right? Maybe you can get away with 550, 500, maybe. With Legally Fit, we strive for 600 to 650 just because we don't want to take this thing again. So I create a program that's designed for you to never take this exam again. And if you follow it, right, that's the likely result you're going to get. But again, did you put in the hours, right? Those that are in the 200 hours, 100 hours, 300 hours, it's just simply not enough time. Okay. That's like telling me you want to go to the Olympics for swimming, but you only practice twice a week for 2 years. Like, that's not enough time. There's just no way. I don't care if you're Michael Phelps. You got to put in the time. Okay. Did I have too many distractions during bar prep? Was I following the World Cup? Was I following the NFL or the NBA playoffs? Was I following the latest season of The Bachelor, right? Did I have social relationships that were taking up too much time, right? Was I too on social media, right? There's so many different distractions that exist, right? Were they actually then like non-bad distractions, right? Did I spend too much time, or did I not figure out a system that worked with like the management of my kids, with my family? Maybe I'm a caretaker and I didn't come up with a good system to help with that. So there's so many different types of distractions, both good and bad, that we have to look at, because I'm a big believer that with bar prep, this is not a test that you want to simply, right, fit into your life. You have to fit your life into bar prep. Like, your life needs to revolve around this. You need to be living and breathing these concepts for this period of time so you can recall these 13 subjects and these, right, 500 to 1,000 topics that you have to know at a moment's second, right? A moment's notice of, this is the issue, now discuss it. So it really, really, right, behooves you to be invested in this, as opposed to just one foot in, trying to cram it and then pass. Did I skip certain subjects or topics hoping they wouldn't be tested? Big no. And then hear about the quantity. Did I do my 2,200 MBE questions? Did I do 100 essays, right? You don't have to write all of those out, but did I touch 100 essays? And did I write or review 8 to 10 PTs, right? So everybody, look in the mirror, right? And hold yourself accountable and see where on this list you can improve. After you do your reflection, now it's time to begin your journey of passing the exam. I want you to go into your next round knowing you are not starting over from scratch. It may feel that way, right? But you're walking in with something, if nothing else, familiarity with the exam and how it works, and the nerves that you have to be prepared for, and the pressure, right? And all of those things. But I promise you, even though you're a little bit removed from it, you still remember little contracts, all right? There's still some con law in there somewhere. So, you ride that wave and you pick up where you left off and you get back in the saddle. The journey begins with a solid attack plan, and that's also what I'm here again to help you all with today. So here's how you want to create your attack plan. First, you need to assess your time commitment for bar prep. First and foremost, can't wait to talk about it. Next, you're going to create and customize your study plan. Again, one of the things you don't want to do is just sign up for a cookie cutter course with a cookie cutter plan and just cross your fingers and hope that that's going to work for you. I want you to be a little bit more hands-on and tailor it to your particular needs, especially as a retaker, because you have even stronger data points now on where you are struggling. Okay. Next, consider an early start, right? We only have a few weeks left, but a few weeks is a few weeks. So there's still time to start early, and some common practices for the best ways to start early. Next, select your bar prep provider, right? This is important, right? It's like in life, they say one of the most important decisions in life is choosing the right partner for you, right? The right spouse. In order to pass the bar, a lot of times the most important decision is choosing the right company. It's so often that we go with the company that a friend took, right? Or we go with the company that our school pushed down our throats, right? But you have to actually vet companies and listen to them and watch their videos and look at their materials to really see which one is aligning with your learning style, right? And becomes a place that you feel like is going to empower you and tool you with the skill set you need to pass this exam. All right. Attack plan recommendations. So again, we help students with the California bar exam, and we also help students with the UBE exam. Let's start off with California, right? Because the scoring system is different. So if you were 0 to 35 points away on your scale score, and I'm familiar with the circumstances that you guys don't quite have your scores yet for those that didn't pass. So just be patient, and then you'll be able to come back to this, watch this replay, etc. But if you were 0 to 35 points away, I'm putting you in the category of like, we're just right around the corner, right? We're almost there. I recommend a bar prep program. And as you see, I recommend a bar prep program no matter what position you're in, just because a bar prep program to me is always the best place to be to make sure you're getting it done. When you're doing it all on your own, you're just running the risk of not having a full surefire plan that doesn't have any gaps or holes in it. So bar prep program is always recommended to just make sure you get it done. Private coaching is something that is then optional, no matter where you stand on your distance. Private coaching can be used in a multitude of ways. It can be used as something just like sparingly of a session here or there for very difficult topics, or a skill set that's stubborn that you need a little bit of one-on-one attention with. I will say, and we'll touch on later within Legally Fit, we again offer a hybrid program, right? Where I mentioned we have live workshops. We've had some incredible records that we've set with retakers improving their score. We've had a California bar taker improve their score by 178 points. Right. The average point increase is anywhere from like 15 to like 30 is the average, right? If they increase at all. A lot of people, depending on what program they take, don't see an increase. A student increased it by 178 points. The student did not do private coaching. They simply did the hybrid program with live workshops that essentially gives you the best value of private coaching. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some people out there that really vibe with and gravitate towards that one-on-one attention at their own pace. But all that to say, in my opinion, 98% of the students don't really need private coaching. They just need more clear guidance. Okay. So all that to say, that's private coaching. We can talk more about that for those looking for it. We do offer limited private coaching, but yes, that's private coaching. Next is early start. If you were right around the corner, it's optional. You don't have to, but you can if you're ready to get going. But if you were 36 to 100, which is like a nice little medium to large jump, it's recommended. And if you are more than 100 points off, right, which is you need a significant jump, then an early start, I would say, is absolute. Again, can you pass without it? Sure. But I highly recommend giving yourself the increased chances. Self-study, right? So you're really comparing self-study to bar prep program. And so I think that the only person that can consider this is in that almost there. But again, I put here optional. And again, it would never be my recommendation. Like, can you get away with it? Sure. Have I seen it work? Sure. But I do think it's riskier. And as you all know, you do not want to be in the position of not passing this again. So dealer, up to you, not dealer's choice, but in this case, I guess buyer's choice is a phrase I'm looking for. But yeah, definitely proceed with caution and enter at your own risk of going the self-study route. Okay. All right. So we're going to look at now the UBE side of things, right? Different scoring system, much lower score that you need, right? Kind of is around that 290 for most jurisdictions, as opposed to 1390 for the California. So very same or it's the same recommendations, but we just changed the points so you can see where you stand, right? So 0 to 15 is like, you're right there, right around the corner. 16 to 39 is all right. You need to make a significant improvement, right? It's going to be a nice jump that you need to make. And then 40 plus is like, all right, like I really need an overhaul and make a big, big jump here. Okay. So those are your generic attack plan recommendations. Let's talk about time commitment. Okay. A very important one for retakers, because the reality is that life picks up, right? You can't take off and full-time study forever if those got the, for those that got the benefit of doing that the first time around. So let's talk about what that looks like. First and foremost, the goal is always full-time study. Anytime you study for the bar exam, you want full-time study or the closest thing to it. All right. The reasoning here is that you, again, simply want to give yourself the best shot at being done with this chapter of your life. The least that you have distractions or things going on, right? Of, okay, Monday, I'm learning contracts, but while I'm learning parole evidence rule, I'm also mentally preparing for that meeting that I have in 2 hours at work. Things like that can make it really hard to be present and lock in and catch patterns, right, for whatever you're focusing on regarding the law. So let's talk about those that don't have the luxury of full time, right? And we're going to talk about more or less the two, kind of common reasons why we don't. And for one of those, it's I have a job. So here are your options if you have a job. Number one, clear your schedule, right? This is not saying that this is what you have to do, but that is option number one. Quit your job. If it's not something that you need, you do have the financial cushion to be able to take time off, or you have the job flexibility with your employer to have that discussion. Quit your job if you can, right? Or take 3 months off of your job, right? Whatever one it may be. I guess so. Yeah, the quit your job, right, is really more so for the ones where it's like, I don't really plan on being here after I pass anyway. So if it's already a job that you plan on leaving, and again, you can financially swing it, that's something to consider. All right, what if you can't clear your schedule completely? Well, then step number 2 is see where you can create more time. Can I take 1 month off? Can I take 2 months off, right? Try to get as close to that as possible. Can I switch to a part-time role, right? Or a hybrid of both? So again, whatever way you can find to create more time would be something to consider. And then lastly is just for those that have a job, let's say there's no adjustments that you can make. You simply study with leftover time. Whatever you have left is what you have. And we've accepted our circumstances. This is the hand that I have this go round. Let's make the most out of it. Okay. I have seen pastors do all 3 of these things, right? Again, I recommend anything closest to full time as possible. But again, we have our hands that we're dealt, and we got to play them. So let's talk about for those that have other personal commitments, right? Things like relationships, kids, right, et cetera. One, clear your schedule, right? There's a joke here. Maybe it's not a joke. Break up, right? If that relationship is not lasting forever, it's a little bit too far on the toxic side, let it go. All right. Obviously, I'm not telling you to let go of the love of your life and the people that mean the most to you. But yeah, clear your schedule to the extent that you need, right? If you have friends, relationships, things that are more so distractions than actually filling your cup, actually supporting you through this journey, reconsider whether you have space for it right now. Next, create more time, right? Maybe babysitters for your kids if they're old enough and you feel comfortable with that. Adjust relationship schedule. Have conversations with your spouse, significant other, et cetera, on like what the relationship needs to look like and the roles need to look like this time. So there's not any miscommunication around it. There's not any fights around it. Things like that. Sacrificing your social schedule, right? This is all to the ones that I see on Instagram, right? Out at brunch during bar prep, out partying during bar prep, out at concerts. Okay. All these different things. I know Beyonce's on tour. I know Kendrick Lamar's on tour. Okay. All these things. And it's what do you want, right? Do you want to pass this test? Next, study with leftover time. If you can't create more time, you can't clear your schedule. Again, you're back to just making the most of what you have. And then again, playing that hand that you're dealt, right? Or that you have. So what I want to make everybody so clear, right, before you leave today, this is a very important part of today, is that it is imperative that you determine how many hours you will be able to dedicate per day and per week. Be practical and be accurate. Every single bar prep consultation I have for a retaker starts with how many hours can you dedicate? Because you cannot create a plan for bar prep if you do not have a practical and accurate assessment of how many hours. Once you have the hours, I can tell you the best way to use those hours. But the students that don't do this, right, either they don't do it at all or they do it, but they're not practical and accurate. You're just now winging it during bar prep. And that's not what we want to do. Okay. So take a screenshot, write it down, write a to-do list, make sure you sit down and you figure out how many hours can I put in a day and a week. All right. After you do that, now it's time to create and customize, right? No cookie cutter, right? You can't just do something that's a one size fits all. You got to customize your study plan to you. So the goal, tailored approach, right? You want to study your plan to your tailored needs, things to consider. Identify your weaknesses with the skill or law that you need that need more attention. Skill refers to essay, MBE. and PT, right? Do you have the raw skills for each of those? Do you have the reading comprehension skills? Do you have the default ability to thoroughly analyze? Are you too conclusory? Do you go on tangents? Do you struggle with rules, right? All those various skills. The other side of it is the law. Do you know what the parole evidence rule is? Do you know what warranties are, right? And all the different ways it can be triggered. Those are issues with the law. And of course, you can have within, subject to subject, and within subject, topic to topic. After you identify your weaknesses, you want to adjust your schedule to address weaknesses without overcorrecting. Again, I'm giving you all of the step-by-steps of what to do so you can do this on your own. Again, we have actual consultations or assessment calls with repeaters that I can assist you in doing this, right? And do it with you. But if you do it on your own, the advice is you cannot overcorrect. For example, I'm weak in essays. So I dedicate 80% of my time working on essays. Guess what? You're now going to have a weakness in MBE or PTs, even if it was a strength before. Oh, I'm good with MBEs. I passed the MBE last time. You're not going to pass it again if you only put in 20% of your time there. So do not overcorrect. Do you need more than 10 weeks to study? That's a question that you have to ask yourself, which is based off of your level of weakness, right? How far away were you from passing? And also, what is your time commitments? Are you going to be with limited time during bar prep? All right. Last question. Which program or assortment of supplements are best for you? Is how you create a tailored approach. All right. So let's talk about our early start. You see, we got our early riser over here, taking off the eye mask, excited in the morning, ready to go. Okay. Remaining early start window, everybody, is 2 weeks. 2 weeks, that's nothing. 2 weeks is a fifth of a 10-week program, right? 2 weeks can go a long way, especially for those that are already going to be operating with limited time. So again, for some it's optional, for some it's needed. You guys see where you fit. But yes, let's talk about early start. Remedy, right? There's 2 different ways to go about an early start. The remedy route is you want to hit 600 to 650 hours during the 10-week program leading up to your exam. If you cannot do 600 to 650 hours, then start early to account for some of those hours, right? It's a remedy to not having the time. Another reason to start early is the extra practice is needed. If you have significant weaknesses, for California, right, you were 70 points off. For UBE, you were 30 points off. Well, extra practice may be needed, right, with law and or skill, and you can use that early start to isolate those individual weaknesses and improve them. All right, early start. Who is it for? One, those are ready to rock and roll. Some of us are like, I'm ready to go, right? No matter what it is, I just found out I did whatever. I'm ready to go. I just want to get back in it. Let's do it. Again, for those that just found out within the past month, make sure you've processed your emotions. Otherwise, they can creep up. But I love the energy if you are, in fact, ready to go. Legally Fit is here to start with you early. If you're ready to start early, we'll talk about that more in a sec. For those that can't dedicate 50 to 65 hours per week, again, start early. Those that need a significant point increase, 36 points, California, UBE 16 plus, I highly recommend early start for those students. Do I have to? Do I really have to start early? You have to do what's best for you, okay? It is a tool to increase your chances of passing. For some, that tool is needed, and for others, it's optional. But here are things to consider. How fresh is the law, right? What was your last score? How fresh is the law? It's like, did I take the test last like 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Early start could be beneficial. What was your last score? We talked about that. Is your schedule ready for you to start, right? Do you still need to get your life ready for bar prep? And there's other things to do. Are you mentally ready, right? Do you really have the juice at this very moment? If not, that's your next step is get the sleep, reflection, support, camaraderie, whatever it is to get motivated and back ready to go, right? Don't start before you're mentally ready. How much time can you commit during the 10-week period? And again, we talked about that being a factor as well. All right. If you're going to take the remedy approach, Take a look at your Legally Fit or other bar prep providers' schedule and simply work ahead of schedule. Like just get started, right? Because you're going to have limited time. So let me get a head start is the notion. All right. Extra practice approach, right, is to isolate the topics and or skills, essay, MBE, PT, that you struggle with and isolate those and work on those right now, right? And then prepare your life, right? This is the first time we're really talking about this. It could still be considered an early start and a good early start to just be preparing your life, not even touching the law, right? Work on setting up those relationships, on setting up that distraction-free bar prep period. Figure out how to improve your study space, your routines, right? Diet, sleep, exercise, what I call the holy trinity of bar prep, right? Diet, sleep, exercise, right? Your nutrition, meal prep, self-care, etc. So that's another great way to spend these 2 weeks is just getting ready. All right. That's information on how to tailor and customize your bar prep. Let's now talk about selecting your bar prep provider, right? Which program are you going to choose? All right. The first question is, do I go with the same company or do I go with a new company? Pretty simple. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if it is broke, fix it. Okay. If you found yourself with a company where you feel like, man, like I really felt good about it. I felt like they prepared me. They gave me everything I needed. It was great. It was awesome. Then, hey, don't reinvent the wheel. You just need to revisit again, reflect what could you have done better, done different, etc. But if you don't feel as though you liked the strategy, right, the approach, you didn't resonate with the videos and the lessons and the material, or their program provided more frustrations than a place of encouragement, right, and all these things, then that is where you should consider switching it up. Because your environment and your coach and your program, again, it can be the biggest, reason for you passing is just being in the right space, right? For all those that love sports, I don't know if you guys love sports, right? But it's like being a great basketball player. You could take a great basketball player and put them on one team, and that team structure and their philosophy and their system, that player is not good at all. And then you put them on another team and now they're thriving, right? So that's the concept. All right. What makes Legally Fit different? So now is the point we're going to talk about Legally Fit a little bit and why we are the best option for most students. Okay. So first and foremost, we have materials that simplify learning. Next, we have a strategy that is effective and proven. And lastly, we have support that gets you through. In short, it's materials, it's strategy, and it's support. Let's break each one down. So the first one is, let me move this. The first one is engaging lectures that are worth your time. So I've been in your shoes. I've seen what's out there. There's times where you might watch a video from another company for 8 hours and then still feel like you have to teach yourself after, right? So with Legally Fit materials, the reason why we got started in this is that it was designed for first generation students who had no background on the law. So with that in mind, everything is broken down to such a simple level that everybody walks away with a clear and foundational understanding of the law that you can then easily trigger it in practice questions. You know how to apply it, and it makes it easier to memorize. Okay. Next, consistency among your materials. As repeat takers, and I'm guessing as ones that did not take Legally Fit, you are familiar with getting a set of materials from a big box company, and there's inconsistencies. And it's because they independently contract out to various people to make different portions of their materials, and they don't collaborate. So now I have a rule for offer in my outline that's different than my rule for offer in this essay sample answer I'm looking at. Inconsistency just provides headache and frustration and wasted time. So that was one of the big things that was important with Legally Fit, is that everything you get is going to be cohesive and consistent, right? Less time sifting through which rule you're going to adopt and more time just doing the practice that you need. Lastly, customize how you learn. Not a cookie cutter program. We have ways to engage with our materials and engage with the law in whatever way fits your learning style. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, read and write learner. We have something that caters to everybody. Okay. It doesn't have to be a dreaded task. Like that's one of the best parts of Legally Fit and one of the best, reviews or testimonials that I always appreciate, where it's like, wow, I actually enjoyed learning the law. I actually enjoyed going and doing those hypos. Right. So to create a new experience around this where it's actually fun to learn the law and you see the needle moving. All right, now let's talk about strategy. Also, very important, right? Again, as I mentioned, some companies have very old and outdated strategies that they've been using since they started, right? Which could have been 40, 50 years ago. And as we know, this test is ever evolving. Okay. So here are some areas, the key areas. There's even more, but the key areas in how we differ. Number one is the power of focus. We believe in a one subject at a time approach. There's no juggling multiple subjects at once. For each subject, everybody, it's simple. Within Legally Fit, you have a learn day dedicated to just processing the material. You have an essay day to just do essays and see the patterns and catch the patterns just for that one subject. And then you have multiple choice days. And again, not a mixed set, 90 multiple choice questions in one day just for one subject. Guess what, value you get out of that? You see patterns that you otherwise wouldn't have seen when you stick with the subject in that focused manner. Okay. This allows for truly mastering a subject. Next, walk before you run approach. One of the things I hate the most about a lot of companies is that they will say, hey, Rebecca, I want you to learn contracts on Monday, a subject that took you 3 months to learn in law school that you now have just one day to, refresh on. And then the next day, on Tuesday, I want you to do a closed book exam on this and be ready to show me how you can pass the bar. Right. And then what happens? Rebecca takes that closed book exam. As expected, she does not memorize all the rules. Right. As expected, then her analysis is off because her rules are off. Right. As expected, she gets a low score, which then becomes the opportunity for that company to say, hey, you got a low score, keep on working and do better. Well, while all that's happening, Rebecca is now getting this negative, right? Like feedback, this negative loop, right? With this experience of like, damn, like I'm struggling. I'm not good enough. I'm not doing well, when it's not the reality at all. You've just been put in almost an impossible position to perform before you're ready. All that to say, our approach is to take progressional development, right? It's the same thing. It's a universal rule. We see it in life, we see it in cooking and sports and whatever skill you're trying to acquire. You don't start off by trying to do it like a professional. You learn the basics and you work your way up. So in this case, it's start with open book exams, right? And then once you get comfortable with the rules for that, then you wean off. But in the process, you are making sure you're using the right rules and applying the right rules, which is furthering your memorization, furthering your understanding, and you're creating positive momentum. You're looking forward to the next essay to show off what you now learned, as opposed to, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to get another low grade or another up. You messed up again. So yes, really key, walk before you run approach. Next, and this is my favorite actually, all of them, I love them, but simply follow the recipe is a big part of our strategy. We had to find the right line, and that line definitely veered a little to the right here on how much of the hard work we have done for you, right? We don't want to do 100% of it, because then if you don't do any work, then it's going to be hard for it to stick. But to the extent that we could, we did, I mean, as much as we can. So again, all you have to do is follow the steps. We have taken years of students' questions and implemented them into our materials, right? So that's accounted for in your experience, in your journey. We've done the charts and the visual diagrams, so you don't have to spend your time making those, that we have those available to you. Again, there's countless ways in there where it's not rocket science, right? Is our new phrase of bar prep. Right now, it's trust the process still. The new one is going to be, it's not rocket science, in that it's not at this point difficult anymore. We give you the recipe. You simply have to follow it. Okay. Lastly is support. Okay, let me just go ahead and put all three of these out on there. Ability to ask questions, ability to connect with other students, and we provide assistance with adjusting or adapting to bar prep. Support is one of those things that a few of us in here are like just clamoring for and just like really looking for because they know how hard this test is. Support sometimes is also something that some students don't realize how much they need. The reality is that this is a very challenging test, right? Not only with the law, right? And just some topics and some issues, you might have things you can't see and you need some support and some guidance on being able to identify and correct. But also with the mental game, right? It's been said for years, the bar is half mental, but not every company is addressing that portion for their students. And so that's what we effectively do. And to the point, I realized today, right? Again, California results came out, UBE results have been coming out throughout the month. Almost every student, not all, but like almost every student who reaches out via email or text or whatever it may be to say thank you for passing, it's always two things that there's talked about the most: the materials, and man, thank you for the support. Thank you for being there. Thank you for helping me through that tough time where I almost felt like giving up during bar prep, right? Those things is just invaluable. So yes, at Legally Fit, we are sometimes unlicensed part-time therapists. But again, it goes a long way and it really helps with the mental game. All right. Next, we're done with the Legally Fit difference, right? What makes us different. Now let's talk about just what the Legally Fit experience is, right? And how your journey from now until passing will look. Right now, you might be still in the pocket of exploring bar prep. Here are your options. You can book a consultation call. Consultation calls are 15-minute calls where you can just ask and I'll answer questions around whether Legally Fit is the right fit for you. Okay. You can also request sample materials in a lecture to see if our materials and lectures resonate with you. If you like this, you can see yourself doing this for the next 10 weeks. We also have the option to speak with former Legally Fit students, right? That is the type of community that we have, that our students are open, willing, and ready to talk to other students of, hey, yes, I can understand that this is a big decision. And if you want somebody who just took the program to kind of run through what it's like, they're willing to do that for you. Next, your early start options. Repeater assessment and strategy call, right? The consultation call is a free 15-minute call. The repeater assessment and strategy call is a 1-hour paid call. We'll talk about that here in a bit, but that one is a more in-depth call where I'm actually helping you create that tailored custom attack plan. Next, you have your early bar prep course. We're outside the window of early bar prep unless you're considering the February 26th exam, right? Or further. And then self-guided early start. So again, that's more or less what you can do. If you did want to sign up, let's say today, you can start studying early. I'll give you a little guidance, but the program officially starts on May 19th. After that, we have orientation. For the record, orientation, again, dates coming soon, but orientation is May 12th. That's next week. That's an opportunity to get all of our strategy, all of our formulas, right? All of that, how your schedule works down before you jump into bar prep. Then you have your learn phase. Now we're in our 10 weeks, right? When we hit that loop, we're in our official 10 weeks. First 7 weeks, we're learning all the subjects. The next week, we are assessing and strategizing on how much we retained in those 7 weeks, where our updated strengths and weaknesses are. And then from that, we're creating a personalized attack plan for the last 2 weeks to get you over the hump, right? So that's how our 10-week structure works. 7 weeks, learn it all, get all the skill down, the law down. 1 week after the 7, assess where am I at, what is still a problem, what isn't. And then the last 2 weeks is overall review and have a hyper focus on what your personal remaining weaknesses are. All right. And then from there, you take the bar exam with confidence. Here are your dates and deadlines. Okay. Feel free to take a quick screenshot. Deadline to register for bar prep is Sunday, May 11th. First day of orientation is May 12th. All right. So again, next week, next Monday, I highly recommend, if you're going to sign up, take advantage of orientation, because otherwise you're going to be trying to learn all that stuff while learning contracts on May 19th, right? Which is the official start. And that's our first subject, is contracts. But again, take advantage of orientation. And then late registration deadline to sign up is May 26th. Okay. Let's talk about the money, right? We all want to know, like, okay, this sounds great, but how much are you going to be charging me? Okay. So first off, let me give you the options for what you can sign up for. This is our base program, okay? This is called Legally Fit Bar Prep, everything you need to pass. This program is highlighted by learning material for all 13 subjects. That's on the California bar exam. We'll talk about the supplements that we work with for the UBE, but learning material for the 13 California subjects, strategy and practice resources, for MBE, SA, and PT, which is California and UBE. You have a detailed schedule, day to day, hour to hour. Like there is no moment of a day where you should be asking yourself what to do because it is all laid out for you. Next, Q&A support. If you have questions, email, right? We have a Q&A support. Expert essay grading, and we have performance tracking to see how you're doing, where you're falling short, to help you identify your weaknesses. This program is $2,200, right? That's Legally Fit Bar Prep. Let's put that one to the side. And let's now talk about Bar Prep Plus. All right. For the record, Bar Prep Plus is our baby. Bar Prep Plus is the program that Legally Fit started with. We created the base program because some people said, hey, either one, I just want something a little bit cheaper, or two, it was just like, you know what? I don't really necessarily need live workshops, so let me have something else. But back to Bar Prep Plus, this is where the Legally Fit magic really happens, in my opinion. Again, highlighted by these additional offerings. Number one, you have office hours. So if you have questions regarding the law, and even sometimes questions regarding the skills that fit within an office hour setting, you can get immediate live feedback by coming to a live Zoom and saying, hey, so I'm learning parole evidence, I'm stuck here, right? Oh, I went through this multiple choice and I couldn't understand why I got it wrong. Can we go through it? Right? So office hours for those stubborn moments. Next, we have live workshops 2 to 4 times a week where we go through MBE skill building, SA skill building, PT skill building. All right. 2 to 4 times a week, we're having live workshops. These are, again, opportunities for live, immediate feedback. No matter which company you go with, right? Legally Fit included, when you're getting SA feedback, that's never immediate, right? Even for companies that, again, have good turnaround times, let's say 2 days, right? Sometimes it can take as much as a week, 2 weeks, etc. But let's say it's a good 2-day turnaround. You're not still on that essay when you got it back, right? 2 days later, you could be possibly in a completely different subject or in a completely different space with that subject. So there's nothing quite like immediate feedback, and that's what you get in live workshops. Next, accountability checks, right? So that's the great thing about that is that for anybody who likes that accountability of being held to a schedule, held to accountability to show up for the live workshop, show up for the professor, right, who's going to be calling on you, showing up for your classmates to show that you're in it and seeing how everybody else is in it, right? There's a sense of camaraderie and accountability that is just like holistic in these live workshops. The other thing that we offer is our Mentally Fit Forum. This Mentally Fit Forum is mandatory for the first Friday, but then it's optional for every Friday for the remaining 9 weeks, right? And what Mentally Fit Forum is, and again, so many students end up loving this, is that every Friday we just offer a space. It can range anywhere from 15 minutes to maybe 30 minutes where students are just talking about like what the struggles of bar prep are on that given week. And it just turns into, honestly, just a group, venting session, therapy session, but it becomes so powerful because people realize they're not alone in what they're feeling and what they're going through. And then you have whichever legally fit staff member is leading that Mentally Fit Forum to provide some guidance and solution based off of us hearing what you've gone through before and what has helped other students. So a really, really powerful space to, again, put in some consistent effort in helping you with that mental game and just the challenges of bar prep. All right. And so mentoring and support is available, and there's additional extras and surprises. I will tell you the additional extras and surprises are pretty awesome. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what they are because then they wouldn't be a surprise. But again, we really like to take care of all of our students, of course. But for those that up for that premium Bar Prep Plus experience, no stone goes unturned, and giving you guys all we have, blood, sweat, and tears into making sure you pass. All right, so we got $39.50 for Bar Prep Plus and $2,200 for the base program for Bar Prep. Okay, but for attending this session as a special offer, you get a discount. All right, your discount is $500 off of Bar Prep Plus and $300 off of Bar Prep, and those are your discount codes. Go ahead, take a screenshot, write it down. Pretty easy. Time to pass 500. Time to pass 300. Okay. For those that are looking at that price, and for some they're like, hey, I'm ready to go. For others, they might be like, it's a little steep. I'll tell you that there's nothing out there that is going to match the value at this price, right? There have been private tutors that I see that charge upwards of $8,000 to $10,000, and they only give you, again, support for one portion of the exam, right? I only do essays or whatever it may be. You might get a program that's only 1,000, 2,000, maybe free, right? But the question is it going to be good enough to get you over the hump? So what I can promise is that this investment in yourself is going to be worth it. And this investment in Legally Fit returns with an investment of Legally Fit into you. We're invested in our students, and we're here to make sure you pass. Here are our guarantees, right? To prove it. All student guarantee, we stick with you until you pass, right? You can have and use our materials until you are done with this exam, right? We do not, kick you to the curb after you're done. You're still with us. We're still with you. If you have a 3.5 GPA or higher, or you were part of an honors program in law school, if you don't pass with us, you get your money back. All right. And let me tell you, right? All the things we have to pay for to keep the lights on at Legally Fit are not cheap. I do not plan on giving you your money back because I don't plan on you not passing. So that's why we're comfortable doing that, is because, students in this position, we have an insane pass rate. It's like 99% when you have a 3.5 or higher and you were part of an honors program in law school. So money back if you happen to fall into that 0.001%. Other, free access to material until you pass, right? Which is essentially the same thing as that all student guarantee. So again, we're with you until you finish. All right, it is time to talk about taking the next steps, right? Don't sit on our hands. Don't sit and figure out, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? We have some things for you to do, right? You can either sign up now if you feel like, hey, you know what? I've heard this, somebody's recommended this to me, I'm ready to go. That's your QR code at the top to go ahead and sign up. You can choose Bar Prep or Bar Prep Plus, use your discount code, and we'll see you in orientation next week. If you have some more questions that are not suited for the end of this session, and you want to book a private consultation call, boop, that's the QR code right there. 15 minutes, we can talk one-on-one and go through whatever your circumstances are. Now, whether you want to sign up for Legally Fit or not, this is separate, right? You can sign up for it with us or not. If you want a repeater assessment and strategy call where we will get on Zoom, me and you, we will go through your scorecard, right, and interpret it of what your MBE scores look like, what your essay scores look like, right, PT, etc. I'll even look at some of your writing to give you some feedback as to see where I could see you can improve in your writing. And ultimately, what we create is a customized attack plan, right? You'll give me how many hours can you dedicate? What are your time commitments that you're working with? What are your strengths? We'll create a custom plan together. That is $250 for that consultation call. And so the QR code for that is right here at the bottom. You can go ahead and scan that one. If you didn't scan any of the QR codes, don't worry. All of the links will be in an email that follow this session. One more time for the QR codes here, if you needed to get those. Okay, sign up now, book a consultation call, and we have the custom attack plan, repeater assessment, and strategy call. All right, we're about to wrap up, but before we do, I want to talk about how no matter what your circumstances are, no matter what your particular position is, we are here to help you pass, and chances are we've helped somebody like you pass. All right, so here's just a few testimonials and examples of who we've helped. The almost there retaker, right? We talked about this, right? Just a few points away on whatever scale that is, California or UBE, you were close, but now let's finish it. Why these students choose Legally Fit. Legally Fit will then be your surefire solution for students who missed passing by just a few points. It's going to be a fresh and motivating program. For those that are just that, close, it can be really hard to get back in the saddle. Like, I don't want to, oh my, like they should have just passed me, right? But Legally Fit can give you something that just makes this whole process that much more, not just bearable, but enjoyable, right? Helps you re-engage and focus. Our formula-based approach and live support removes the guesswork on what next steps to take when you were only so close, right? Or only a few points away. All right, so there you go. We got James, our testimonial there. He was 8 points away, came in, had a great time with it. Obviously, right? Did he rather be, working his attorney job by then, being on the beach somewhere? Sure, but doing bar prep again with Legally Fit wasn't the worst thing for him. It worked. Went on to pass. Next, we have the I believe in miracles retaker. Okay, miracles do happen. You need a big score jump, right? De'Ara was one of our recent bar takers. It was only her second time, but she needed a significant jump. She was on the UBE and she needed a 37-point jump, which is almost unheard of. And she put in the work, followed the program, and got it done and passed the Texas bar exam just recently. So shout out to De'Ara. Let's talk about our Legally Fit records. California bar exam, retaker, right? Our record is 178 points. Again, 178 points is an incredible, like almost unfathomable point increase. But again, it shows not only like, is this something for me to, obviously be proud of what Legally Fit has helped students accomplish, but I want you all to look at that and realize like, no matter what your scores are, you can pass this test. Right. So I think that again, it's a double whammy, right? A double benefit of how we can all appreciate that. UBE taker, we talked about De'Ara. California retaker passed after 6 failed attempts, right? So we had a 7th time taker who came to us and was able to finally get over the hump. Why these students choose Legally Fit is that we are perfect for an overhaul. Like I need something that's going to really just completely give me a fresh and effective approach to make significant improvement. I need something that can structurally build me up from the ground up and give me the foundation to be sound for this bar exam. And something that like, I really struggle with things. Like I need something that really simplifies it, right? Really breaks down complex topics so I can then memorize, apply, right, etc. All right, last but not least, we have the working student or the parent. Again, your time is limited. The person with limited time, right? So why students choose Legally Fit in this category? One, we just have years of experience working with students with busy schedules, right? Like since day one, we've gotten the underdog student. We've gotten I have 2 kids that I'm taking care of as a single parent, right? I'm working full time, right? All these things. Our materials, right, which kind of goes down to the last bullet point, our materials and strategies are so efficient that you can truly maximize your limited study time. If you have less time, you have no time to waste. So you have to be using something that maximizes every second that you put into studying. Working our way up from there, right? The law is already condensed and prioritized for you. So again, time is important. The reality is you can't do everything. So you got to focus on the things that are most tested. A lot of materials out there don't guide you and get you to focus on the prioritized material. They just throw, right, this like, too big for life book at you with all this material that you have to sift through on your own. And then lastly, modular schedule. We make it really easy when you are working on how that looks like to adjust your schedule. It's not a crazy algorithm or a crazy formula that you have to do because our schedule is already so modular and simple. If on this day it's multiple choice day and the schedule says do 90 questions and you spend, let's say, 8 hours doing it, if you only have 4 hours to study that day, well, guess what? You do half. You do, 45 questions, right? So that's how it works. It's so modular that whatever your time is, you just do the amount that is allocated for that time frame. All right. Miriam was an example of an Legally Fit alum who was working and a parent and went on to pass. All right. Oh, and then last thing too, I want to mention as well is that we also help LLM students too. So if there's any LLM students, we just had an LLM pass who came over from the UK. in our past bar prep. So I personally believe LLM students are just like first generation law students in America. And a lot of times you're just looking for something that increases your confidence and again, simplifies the whole process and makes it that much easier to develop. So yes, we help LLM students as well. Upcoming events. All right. So for those that either one, just want some more legally fit goodness, or two, you want a little bit more hands-on on what our live workshops may look like. This week, we'll be having some free additional workshops. You can scan the QR code there. You will also get an email with the link, but these events we'll be doing tomorrow and Wednesday, where we'll be breaking down an essay tomorrow. And then on Wednesday, we'll be going over MBE and some skills and strategy and some things to share for multiple choice. All right, so take again, a picture of that QR code or look out for the link in the email. Those events are really good, all right? And we have made it through. All right, thank you guys for, I see everybody stayed until the end. That's always awesome and amazing. Before we open it up for Q&A, I did ask one of our recent Legally Fit passers from the February 26th exam to come in and just give just a few moments of their jubilation and excitement, because again, California just found out today. So I got you guys some fresh emotion of a passer who just found out 5 hours ago that they passed, but is here to just share with you a little bit of what their Legally Fit experience was and what they found most valuable. And after we just listen to her for a couple of minutes, we will open it up to Q&A of what anybody has for me. And yeah, we'll go from there. So Kai, the floor is now yours. Let's go ahead and make you available to talk. Perfect, allowed to talk. And so, yeah, I'll just let you go ahead and do it. I'll let you do, your story. I won't give the introduction. I'll give you your moment to just kind of talk about your experience. Kai was a first-time taker, right? We have a lot of repeat takers. Kai happened to be one of our first-time takers. But yeah, Kai, go ahead, take it away. Tell them about your experience.
Oh, I don't even know where to start. So I guess to first start is I took advantage of the early bar prep and the actual the bar prep plus Legally Fit. And the reason why I did that is because I knew that I had some gaps coming out of law school with, subjects like contracts and property, and I knew I needed that additional time. And in addition to that, the structure and the pedagogy, and what I mean by that is the explicit strategies and the patterns that Legally Fit taught us how to implement, to frame the law, to interpret the law, to apply it, all work to help me close gaps like overnight. And these were things that I struggled all through law school with, but a video, a conversation, or going through one of the modules like cured some significant gaps in my understanding and usability of what I was learning. So bar prep was very difficult. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of work. And one of the things that I can just say is you have to do the work. It's like 7 or 8 essays a day that you write. It's all of the multiple choice. It's all of these things. But what I saw coming into bar prep is I was scoring in the low 60th percentile in my multiple choice. But by the time I got to the 10 week, I was consistently in the 80th percentile, just implementing the strategy. And I'll be honest with you guys, I was like, all of this structure around learning the law is too much. It's crazy. And I thought I was going to sidestep some of that and just get to the material. And real quickly, some of my assessment data came back very humbling. And I had to take some steps back, and really say, no, let me implement the protocols as they are. And it was adhering to that integrity of the Legally Fit structure that yielded the results that I received today. I was vehemently committed to not having to take the bar more than one time. And the framework that they provided gave me the tools, the skills, and the resources to be able to do that. And I use Barbary, and I'm not trying to shade any other company. I used Barbary during bar prep, and it didn't help. I used Summa Kaplan. I used a bunch of different things just trying to build my aptitude. But when I tell you that the time, the resources, the mental models, all of the graphic organizers that they provide for you did all of the work, and all I had to do was digest it. And even the way they organized it and made it linear and easy to kind of follow and understand, all of those things aided me. And that is the reason why I am here today to say that I passed the bar on the very first time. And I don't even have words commensurate to express the depth of my gratitude for the Legally Fit framework and the support that was provided. And sometimes it was annoying because DeAndre is unrelenting. Like, he's very unapologetic about excellence. He's very unapologetic about you being a legal scholar. And that was hard, but it was also responsible for why me and the majority of people in our cohort passing the bar this time.
Awesome, Kai. That was, I mean, yeah, I think I got, just as much value of just sitting back and listening to that as they did. And like it, for all those that are taking Legally Fit or not taking Legally Fit, there's just so much to take away from what Kai is saying that goes into passing, but I think she also gave you, the blueprint for passing within Legally Fit. But in general, she's saying, like, so much of this test is just like, it's a humbling experience to not think your ego and your prior skill set is just going to get you through with cutting corners or doing it this way or that way. And so much what I took away from what Kai said is just like, look, I just buckled down and just like gave into it and just said, you know what, let me follow the strategy. And that was back to, again, the reminder of what I said, the new mantra of Legally Fit is that, like, we are in our best season of Legally Fit. At this point, the hard work for Legally Fit is done. Like, we have 10 plus years of tweaking, fine tuning, taking in student questions, adjustments to the program where everything is worked out. And now we just simply have to be here to guide you through it. And as Kai said, unapologetically hold you to that standard and not allow you to make excuses for falling below that standard, to make sure you do those prerequisites that we know are associated with passing. So yes, Kai, thank you for finding time to, come in and speak to everybody and share a few of your words. I am ecstatic that, we can now welcome you into the profession of being a lawyer. And now you are a colleague. I'm sure we'll be talking again more in the very, very near future. But yeah, thank you for coming in for a few moments.
You got it. And you guys be encouraged.
Yes. Awesome. All right. So again, we are now going to open it up to Q&A for all those that feel as though they're ready to go. They got everything they needed. Thank you for attending. I hope this informational session was good on a multitude of reasons. First and foremost, that it gave you a little bit of belief that you can pass this test, that it gave you some clear steps on what you should do, right, to put yourself in a position for success. And then lastly, I hope you saw why Legally Fit, should definitely be a heavy consideration for the company you choose to get you over the hump. So yeah, I will start to answer questions that were put in the chat. If anybody wants to hop on and verbalize their questions and speak, simply raise your digital hand and I'll call on you. And you can also use the Q&A feature. So whichever one works for you. In the chat, we have... where does one find 2000 practice MBE questions? So, sorry about that, Kai. Oh, there we go. Where does one find 2000 practice MBE questions? So the typical resource that students use is Adaptibar or UWorld. There's also a book called Emmanuel that's out there. It's like a hand, printed book, paper copy. But Adaptibar and UWorld are the two popular choices for multiple choice practice. And then Yvette said, I did more than 2000 MBE for the February. So Yvette, that does happen, right? Like when I say hit these numbers, that doesn't mean just because you hit either, those numbers in one of those categories or all of them, that guarantees you get that. What we learned in bar prep, Yvette, is that quality and quantity is important. I've had students that have done 5,000 multiple choice questions, before they got to Legally Fit and still not pass. But if you're not doing questions with a certain level of quality, that you are soaking up the lessons from one question to next, it doesn't matter, right? It's like anything else in life. Like if I want you to learn how to cook the perfect salmon, and you make 5,000 salmons, but you're not learning from each one. Oh, I burned it the first time for this reason. Okay, don't do that anymore. Okay, I burned it the second reason for this. Don't do that anymore. If you're not taking each lesson with you, then yeah, you're just going to keep having the same results. So that's a big part of our strategy, is showing you how to get high quality out of your practice. But I imagine that's where you can find yourself improving at that point, right? Once you've hit the certain quantity number, then you have to be looking at, am I getting the quality out of my practice? All right. Do I have any other questions in the chat? You're very welcome, Terry. Thank you for coming in. All right. Well, everybody, it looks like that's everything. I don't see any questions in the chat. No questions coming down the Q&A. Okay, there we go. We got one question coming in. Let me allow this person to talk. All right, the mic is yours.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, great. Question real quick. If we're doing 2,000 or more MBEs, how do you actually grade yourself within the time frame to do that many? What if you're getting some concept wrong and you have to go back over to see what you did wrong? It's one thing to do 2,000 or do a lot, I will say, but if you get wrong, how do you go back to correct and stay within the plan to continue to do more MBEs? Thank you.
Great question. This is usually what, part of the stuff of what you pay for inside of the program, but I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek at the strategy that we use, and something that's a freebie for you to implement. For multiple choice, to do that, the answer is, when it comes to strategy, is do one question at a time. Because yeah, it's really hard to learn from each question if you're doing 50 questions at a time and then seeing your score and being like, all right, I got a 75%, like, or 50%, like, all right, got to do better. And maybe I look through those a little bit, but it's all just jumbled up. I just had 50, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, right? Whatever it may be. But if you do one question and you immediately see the feedback, oh, I got it right. Did I get it right for the right reasons? Why were the wrong answers wrong? Did I get it wrong? Why did I get it wrong? Okay, what do I need to fix here? Okay, I see it. What's the pattern from this? Oh, so every time somebody orders their dog to bite somebody, got it. Every time somebody orders an animal to hurt somebody, that's a battery. Okay, let me take some. Okay, cool. Let me move on to question number 2 now. So yeah, create more of a intentional experience, one question at a time, that you're learning from each one, instead of doing the sets of 50, the sets of 100, right, etc., where it's hard to process each one then afterwards.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Any other questions? Okay. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Cinco de Mayo for those that are celebrating. Again, for all those that, again, are in this position because they have recently found out they didn't pass, whether it was today or in the past month, yeah, my heart goes out to you. I know how difficult it is to be this close to, fulfilling your dream, working in your profession, getting that license. And just again, reminder that this does not have to be the defining moment, right? But just another step towards, your completion of this journey. And you got to just keep your head up, get back on the saddle, and get it done. For all those that have been years removed away from this, and now are considering getting back into it, kudos to you for not letting this get you down and getting back into it, not letting this be something that, you forever avoided. But hey, I needed to take off an administration or 2 to just regain myself, my confidence, my readiness. And this may be and can be, the time that you finally pass. So good luck to everybody, whether you're in Legally Fit or not. I hope you guys nothing but success. For those that are interested, sign up, consultation call, free workshops the rest of the week. Welcome to the Legally Fit family. Look forward to helping you pass. Take care.